But that was my last year with a cousin in competition. My for realty's cousin was in Lawrence North. All right. So we're going to be using our graph that we made yesterday. And we had this picture that looked kind of like this one down at the bottom here. So we made a graph that looked kind of like this yesterday, where we had our supply line over here. Ooh, that's chunky. Boop. So this was our supply. And we had our demand line, which was this red one over here. Not orange, red. There we go. So they look like this. And we used the graph to read a bunch of stuff yesterday. We made some assumptions, we read some things, and we kind of estimated our point where they crossed. What we're going to do today is we're going to find the equations for these lines and find the exact point where they cross. We're going to find our algebraic solution, not just an estimate based off the graphing. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by finding the equation for supply, and then I'm going to have you guys find the equation for demand. So we're going to do the supply one together. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our table, and there's space at the bottom of page 48, or you can use the space at the bottom of page 47. Page 47 lets you see the table, but I do have the table up here on the screen. And so what we're going to do is we're going to pick two of the points from our line to use them to find the equation for the line. So I'm just going to pick two of our points. And we're going to use two of our points from our data, not randos we pick off our graph. And it genuinely does not matter which points you choose. If you want to pick the top one and the bottom one, if you want to pick the top two, the bottom two, it really doesn't matter. We just need 2 points. And what we're going to do is we're going to write these as ordered pairs, and I'm just going to put them kind of over here. So, sorry, supply is in the black line, so I'm going to use the black pen. We had our X's and our Y's. So on our supply line, we have an X of 1 with a Y of 35, and we had an X of 2 with a Y of 130. That's a trash number. I gotta fix this screen. There we go. So what we're gonna do, since we can see on our picture that these are linear equations, they're lines, what we can do is we need to find our slope. That means I need the change in my Y's over the change in my X's. It's been a hot minute since we did slope. So rise over run is our other way to remember that. Y's over X's. So what happened to my Y values here? How did it change? How did we go from 35 to 130? Not 105, super close though. 95. It went up 95. So my Y's went up 95. How much did my X's go up? 1.
So it's 95.
So our slope, this is just our M, is 95. So when we write our equations, I'm going to give us a little bit more space to the right because I'm running out of space already. Normally when we write our equations, we do a Y equals mx plus b. And now I know my m, so I can take and substitute in my m, y equals 95x plus something. I just don't know what this something is. I don't know what my b is, what my y-intercept is. And the only problem is I can't come in here and find it because it's off my graph and also like in between things. It's not hitting at a nice tidy number. So, shoot, what could I do to try and find my B? Substitute. What are we going to substitute?
0 for x. Wait,
Not 0 for x.
0 for y.
Not 0 for y.
1 for y. 1 for x.
Now we're just tossing out random guesses. I was going to say, I fully support the random guessing, but waiting for me to say yes doesn't mean change your thoughts. Do I know something about this line?
Oh, go backwards.
I mean, you could go backwards. We're still going to wind up in a weird kind of decimally area. Or you might. So you could go backwards since we know that slope. You could count backwards to get to my y-intercept, which happens when my x is 0. Other option, other than filling in the table, because what if we didn't have something nice, is we could take my x and my y. I know x is 1 and y is 35. That is a point on my line. I could substitute in my 35 and my 95 times 1 plus my b. My b is what we're trying to find. So you can do it this way. You can also work backwards in your table. Couple of different ways to get there. This is the more algebraic way. That's the shortcut way that only really works if we're counting by ones and we have something nice. So we wind up with our b. Our y-intercept is
60.
negative 60. So our equation for our supply line, which I'm going to give us more space to the right, we have y equals 95x minus 60.
Where did she get negative 60?
We finished solving this. So we did 95 times 1, and I'll write it out.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so we get 35 equals 95 plus something. If we subtract 95 from both sides, we get negative 60 equals our b. Yeah, no, totally fine. We can absolutely work that through. So this is our supply line. I want you to go do the same thing for our demand line. So I gave you kind of a footprint to follow. I want you to go find a same kind of vibe, same equation. And you can either do it by filling in your, whoop, that's not the laser pointer. Filling your table to get your 0, that's fine. Or you can figure out your B this way. So our table for our demand line, that's not it. So we use our selling price and our number requested. So these are our X's, and that's an X, and Y's for our demand. Okay, so go find, that's part B on page 48, is to find the equation for your demand. Okay, so start with your slope, and see if you can find your y-intercept for part B. You guys want to forget that, that's totally fine. work on getting that equation because we're going to be using it for a thing. Putting this back up here so you can see the whole thing. Oh, hang on a second. I'm going to grab this. There we go. Take just a couple more minutes to get yourself an equation here. There we go. Or how about that previous equation? That's literally on the board. He's at least getting that done down. Yeah, I know. Yeah. First step is going to be to find your slope. So if you haven't done that yet, get your slope. What did you guys get for a slope for our demand line? Negative 130. That's exactly what I got as well. Okay, so work it through. Get your y-intercept. However you want. You can either work your table backwards to get to a 0, or you can substitute in and find your b. I'll do the substitution and I'll use that same point. What did we get for our y-intercept? Mm-hmm.
Y equals negative 130x plus 6 under 60.
Yeah, so our y-intercept is 660. Gives us an equation of, oh, that looks like chaos. I'm gonna make that less gross looking. So we wind up with a demand equation that looks like this. Negative 130x plus 660. So then what we want to do is we want to find the point called the equilibrium. What that means is I want to know when the supply and demand are exactly the same. So I want to know where they cross. I want to know when the supply equals the demand. So if I want to know when supply equals the demand, what can we do? I want to know the point where they cross. How can I find that out? Yeah. I know that the supply equals this equation. And I know demand equals this equation. So supply is 95x minus 60. And demand is negative 130x plus 660. So I have two equations. So we can solve this. What we're doing is we're really setting my y of my supply equal to the y of my demand, because we want to know when they equal each other. So what could I do specifically to try and solve this? What would our next step be? Super duper close. We're going to add 130. What goes with the 130? X. 130x. Take the x with it. We're going to add 130 to both sides. 130x. I just did the exact same thing you did. Oh my goodness. So if we add 130x to both sides, we're going to have 225x minus 60 equals 660. Add 60 to both sides. That's exactly what we're going to do next. Good instinct. So we get 225x equals 720. How do we get x by itself? Divide it by 225. What do we get? X equals 3.2. So what price should we set these toys at? $3.20. So if we look back to our estimate that we made yesterday, we said it was probably around like 325, maybe 315, somewhere in that little range. So we were close. We weren't right on trying to guess it from the picture. We were looking for where x was 320. Okay, so we can use our skills from last chapter where we're starting to write these equations to not just read the picture, but to get our actually factually solved equation. Okay, so these kinds of problems are going to show up more and more frequently. Okay? So, we're going to get started on, no, we're not going to do that one. That one's going to take way more than 20 minutes. We'll do that one next week. There we go. Boop. All right. So, I'm going to be out tomorrow. I'm going to actually a meeting about this. So I'll be talking about you guys all day. So tomorrow you're going to have an assignment. It is actually the questions from page 49. That is the next homework assignment. It is all about writing equations and solving with those equations that we write. So just like what we just did here, you're going to take the data we have, find our slope, change in y, change in x, either plug in points to get a b or work your way backwards. So it's the two problems that are on page 49. That is what you're going to work on tomorrow. And then on Thursday, there is an e-learning assignment. It is a different assignment, so it's 2 online assignments back to back. Sorry. Also not sorry. It is what it is. Because Thursday's e-learning. Please make sure on Thursday you log into Canvas. That is how they're taking attendance. You don't log into Canvas, it does not count as a school day. Enough people don't count it as a school day and they will stop letting us do e-learning days. Log into Canvas, please, on Thursday. I don't care if you do my work or not. You will catch it up at some point. Log into Canvas on Thursday so it counts as an e-learning day. Thank y'all.
So just to be clear, like, no, there's no virtual.
There are no virtual meetings. There are no calls because we have a set of morning conferences and a set of afternoon conferences. So we are going to be doing things all day long on Thursday. So there's not a Zoom class call. You just have to log into Canvas. So please log into Canvas on Thursday so they can have their data that says, look, everybody participates. So these work. Otherwise, we wind up with an extra day in the calendar that you have to come to school. So log in on Thursday, please. Let them have their data. I don't care if you do anything. Just log in. Okay. So while you're working on stuff tomorrow, like I said, I'll be at a Prime meeting, but I'll have my phone and my computer with me, so feel free to send me questions. I got my text line and my email are on these bright pink papers that are in every corner. You can text me, you can email me, whatever. All right, so next week we're just going to have a couple of days of notes that we're going to go through. We only have like 3 or 4 more pages in this chapter. And then we're going to start working on our project. Bless you.
What's the project?
That we're doing that instead of a test, and I will.
What's the project?
It's like a packet of stuff. So I'll tell you about it when it's closer to time. It's a good one. It's a pretty good one. Just do it.